Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. I am the CHALL, and today Chall Chats Drfc Daily Reports bring you the latest news from Rovers Football Club. We're going to be talking about the position of the Bells manager. What's next? What's the reaction? We're also going to talk about permanent and loan deals for the rest of this window under Grant McCann, and we're going to share much more information as well. So please like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell to never miss a YouTube video. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers and 500,000 views. Trust me, big improvements and big upgrades are coming to the channel over next season. It's going to be fantastic, so stay tuned for all of that. And for now, guys, let's get into this video. Let's start off with some Doncaster Rovers news and, of course, permanent and loan deals. That's the big talking point here. So Grant McCann, it's been put to him about potential loan deals. We're going to talk about his comments, but first of all, we're going to share the official statement from the article from the Free Press. Grant McCann says he will prioritise permanent additions over loans this summer. Rovers were heavily reliant on the loan market in recent seasons, with, might I add, mixed success. They did strike gold in that 18-19 season, with Herbie Kane and Malik Wilkes on loan deals. During McCann's first spell in charge, they reached the League One playoff semi-final against Charlton Athletic. They were directly involved in no fewer than 45 goals between them. Wilkes scored 16 and assisted 12, while Kane found the back of the net 7 times and provided 10 for his teammates. Now, Rovers have used 40 loans over the last 5 seasons, and McCann has signed fewer than any other manager during that time, signing 6 in 18-19. So McCann's the fewest of the loan market users. But overall, we've used 40 in the last 5 seasons. Now, might I add, these last 5 seasons, in reverse order, are Danny Schofield and Gary McSheffrey, 22-23. Richie Wellington, Gary McSheffrey, 21-22. Darren Moore and Andy Butler, 2020-2021. 2019-2020, Darren Moore. 2018-2019, Grant McCann. So that first year out of the 5, we used the fewest. So take the 6 out of it. 34 loans since McCann left the club. I mean, that's just completely ridiculous. Now, Grant McCann states, and I quote, "Ideally, I would like my own team, but if there's good loans available, it's not a problem. If it's one just to fill a squad, then I think it's a bit of a waste of time. My experience there is if you bring a loan in to sit on your bench, it's just constant hassle from loan managers ringing you asking why he's not playing all of the time." So, I think it's pretty clear McCann's stance on this. We're not going to be getting a lot of loan deals. I think at most maybe 1 or 2. And that's me being brutally honest. I could sit here now and say I'll play it safe with 3, maybe 4. But I generally think McCann's going to only settle for a couple. I generally think 2 or 3 maximum if we are going to hit 2 or 3. I'd expect there to be at least 1, but I wouldn't expect any more than 2 or 3. If push comes to shove. I expect the majority, if not, I think all but 1 or 2 of the signings this summer are going to be permanent signings. All the signings so far have been permanent acquisitions for the club, and it's going to be very interesting to see how further this goes. I mean, in terms of looking at what we need in the rest of the window, I really don't think we need a lot more in this window. I'd say a creative midfielder, a couple of wingers and another striker, just the ability to loan out Jack Goodman. I think that's probably what we need now. Creative, like I said, creative midfielder in the central of the park, 1 or 2 wingers, and then another striker to compete with Ironside and Georgie Miller. So, in terms of if we are going to use loans, whereabouts they're going to be, not striker, because again, that comes back to that comment. You can't have loan signings sitting on the bench getting hassled from loan managers as to wondering what the hell's happening with them. So we need our strikers to be playing games. Miller, if Ironside's fit and Ironside's killing it week in, week out, Miller's going to barely get a sniff. But of course, again, it depends on certain games, depends on certain situations. I still think Miller can offer something in this team. I still think that Georgie Miller can offer something in this team with his pace, his work rate, his pressing ability. I think if you want to, you know, if you, for example, if there's games where you start Ironside and he's the front man, the all-rounder, does the hold-up play, does the target man duties, works with the wingers, works with the creative plays behind him, gets the goals, And then if you need someone up front to replace Ironside for that last 20-25 minutes to give them some more legs and some more pace and work rate to really tire out those defenders and give Georgie a chance of getting some goals, then you've got that option on the bench available. But I generally do think, depending how Ironside does going forward and depending how McCann's thinking process is, I generally think Ironside will be the number one. I mean, he was quoted to say he is the number one target. So we've got, quote-unquote, our number one target up front, which is very nice indeed. It's nice to get number one targets over the line as soon as possible. You know, the window's not even properly open, Joe, and we've got 6 of our business done, so it's perfect. It's been a perfect summer so far. You know, so get striker out of the way because you don't want a lone striker. Wingers. I mean, there's plenty of ones available. Obviously, you've already got Hurst and Molyneux in that position. You've got Taylor on the right-hand side. You've got Kulea, who's an under-18, who will be loaned out this season. So, again, I think Kulea will get a shot to shine in pre-season and then get loaned out later on. Wingers-wise, I mean, there's some good ones available. George Lewis at Arsenal, Malik Mothersill at Chelsea, Tyler Roberts at Wolves is a very highly rated player, just signed a new contract, Jamaican, international, pacey, quick, technical ability, great, wants to learn, wants to develop, wants to be coached. He has a willingness to be coached. So I think he suits McCann's philosophy very, very well. There's other players at other clubs. I'm sure Brighton and Newcastle have got some good players in the offering. Villa, we've done some good business with in the past. So, again, that option's there. Creative midfielders, again, plenty of options available. Nico O'Reilly from Manchester City. Now, there's a kid I like the look of. He's a great young kid, great potential, and I think could be a good signing on loan. But there we go. That's the story on the signings. And now let's get into our next story. So our next story is from the Doncaster Rovers Bells, and it's the reaction of Chief Executive Russ Green to the departure of manager Nick Buxton being a massive body blow, in quotes, for the club. He now fears players could now move on following Buxton's shock resignation, according to the Free Press this week, after 9 months in the role. Green said several players have verbally agreed to stay at 4th tier Bells next season as they begin life in the National League Division 1 North, following a league restructure. But he warned, quote, this could change things. Now, the ex-Scarborough and Halifax goalkeeper led Doncaster Rovers Bells to a 2nd place finish in the National League Division 1 Midlands and their first cup final in 13 years after replacing the ex-Dunny Rovers and Scunthorpe defender Andy Butler. He said the job had recently become tough personally and mentally in his resignation statement. Now, the quote officially from Russ Green is as follows: "Devastated would be an understatement. I'm taken aback by it, and I think everyone at the club is. I still can't get my head around it because Nick eats, lives and breathes the club. He's 120%. I used to get 20 calls a day off Nick. He was just so hands-on. I think they will leave because they respected Nick so much. He had the respect of the majority of the girls." So my thoughts on this piece of news then, I'm devastated as well. I'm completely devastated because Nick's a great guy. You know, I kept an eye on what the Bells were doing, etc. over last season, and they made some fantastic progress. And, you know, this is the reason why I wanted to include this piece of news in the daily reports today, because at the end of the day, Doncaster Rovers is everybody. It's Doncaster Rovers, it's Doncaster Rovers Bells, it's the fans, it's the supporters that have come and gone, it's the past people come and gone. You know, everything's tied up with Doncaster Rovers, and included Doncaster Rovers is the Bells, and you know, one arguably the most historic women's team of English football. You know, 6 FA Cups. You know, one of the most famous sides, part of one of the most controversial moments in women's football history, probably the most controversial moment in women's football history, when they were basically kicked out of the Premier League. If you want to go and look at the story, I've linked the BBC Sport article in the description down below, not the comment section, the description down below, so you can check it out for yourself and just check out all the details about it. But you'll know why if you're a Rovers fan or a Doncaster Bells fan. But yeah, Nick going is a real shame. Great guy, done some really good stuff, took over from Andy Butler and did some wonderful stuff with the Bells, made some great progress with that side. I guess the feeling was that he couldn't take him that much further. And like I said, it was a mentally tough job, and you know, I can only imagine what he was going through, even during the worst of times in that job. And you know, football managing is a tough job, really tough job physically and mentally, and I can only imagine. So you know, he goes with my best wishes. And in terms of replacements, I mean, Daniel Salt, who's the sports scientist, I believe it was, He's reportedly having another chat, hopefully at some point, although there may be the opportunity to look externally for the next Bells manager. I mean, if you look at people like Andy Butler, he's an ex-Rovers player, ex-footballer to take on this side. Obviously, Nick Buxton's an ex-footballer. It would be nice to see another ex-footballer try and take on this job and try and take the Bells that one step further and try and get them back up the leagues again. There was another article out in recent weeks to suggest that, they may have to start paying players if they want to, and doing stuff differently if they want to move up the leagues and try and move up the financial pyramid for women's football. So it's going to be it's a very, I won't say uncertain, but I'd say an intriguing time for the Bells, because they're in that sort of phase now where they need to make the next step at some point. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting indeed. Now then, our final story comes back to Doncaster Rovers, and of course the addition of our new goalkeeping coach. I was under the assumption that Mark Tyler would be the man in choice. I'll be honest with you, it looked like it was, on paper, it looked like it was, a dead set, or as I would call it, a written in the stars moment. Worked with McCann before, but I guess not. It is, of course, Kyle Letheren. Now, Doncaster Rovers appointed the former player as the new goalkeeping coach. The 35-year-old Welshman initially signed for Hartlepool as a player/coach last summer, and he replaces Ian Bennett, who left Doncaster last month. Letheren had a brief spell on loan at Rovers in the second half of the 2008-2009 season when we were in the Championship. Who remembers those days? But he never made an appearance. He joined after leaving Hartlepool United, where he was also goalkeeping coach last week. He made one appearance last season in a 6-0 defeat to Everton's under-21s in the Papa John's Trophy. He started his career at Swansea's Academy before spells as a backup keeper for Barnsley, Doncaster and Plymouth. He moved north of the border to join Kilmarnock and later Dundee. Spells at Blackpool, York, Plymouth, Salford, Chesterfield and Morecambe followed. He was called up to the Wales squad by Chris Coleman in 2014, but was an unused sub in a 2-1 win over Andorra. Now then, Letheren has said, "I'm delighted to be back. It's been 15 years since I was on loan here from Barnsley as a player. I know a lot about the club and it was a no-brainer when Grant made the phone call. It shouldn't be a League 2 club in my opinion. When Grant spoke to me about his vision, it matched my ambition." Now, Grant McCann said he's young, hungry and energetic. The goalkeeping department is very important to us, and having Kyle come into this role can give us a lift. He'll be great for us. Now, there's a real positive about Kyle Letheren. The positive is he's got a wealth of knowledge as an ex-player, and a real wealth of football league knowledge. And I think when you've got Ian Lawler, who's got a wealth of knowledge, when you've got Lewis Jones, who's known to the club for a while, and you've got Ben Bottomley starting out, and then when you've got the under-18 keepers that are going to get brought up at some point in the future. I always thought Jake Oram had a bright future. I think that Jacob Bryan as well, I think that's his name, has a bright future as well. When you've got that array of keepers, when you've got the potential to bring more keepers in the future, I think that you're going to need someone with that experience to really get the best out of him. And I think Letheren, look, in terms of a goalkeeping coach, I think it's a very... I wouldn't say inexperienced, but I would say a raw, yet to be unleashed kind of goalkeeping coach, if you get what I mean. It's kind of like a raw talent as a coach. Not that much experience as a goalkeeping coach, but definitely a lot of playing experience that could tie into becoming a goalkeeping coach long term. So obviously Letheren, I believe, he announced his retirement as a player. So fully focused as a coach, won't be a player-coach role like it was with Hartlepool. And we will see what happens with that. But welcome, Kyle. Welcome to the club. Thanks for liking my reply. And, welcome to the club, Kyle Letheren. But there we go, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching this Drfc Daily Report. Stay tuned for more content coming over the next few weeks, as pre-season is just a couple of weeks away. Rosington, Maine, 8th of July. See you all down there. I've just got my ticket sorted for Port Vale at home as well. Sheffield Wednesday will be sorted next week when it goes on sale. Of course, we'll find out more in the future about the next pre-season matches, the last 2 away ones to be released. Let's see where we're heading off. I will try my absolute best to get down to every single pre-season fixture. The other 3 have already been confirmed for myself. I will be down there for the home games against Vale on Wednesday. I will be down there for Rosington on the 8th of July. The other 2 away ones, let's see where they are, and we'll try and get them sorted as soon as possible. I believe the supporters coach will be running, so that should be a good thing anyway. And for now, guys, I am the CHALL Ta-ra for now. Stay tuned for more content from sports and theme parks over the next few weeks. Ta-ra for now.